morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for February 20th, 2026, presented by Amazon Prime. I'm Dave DuFour, here with Es Baraheni. Coming up, the Clippers steal one from the Nuggets. Kevin Durant had a big night in Charlotte, and James Edwards is here to talk some smack about the Knicks. Good morning, everybody. What's
trying to get
up,
James
S?
in trouble.
I'm not going to get James in any more trouble than he gets himself in. Actually, look, the Knicks, we need to talk some smack about the Knicks, and we do
right. Yeah.
in the second segment of the show, guys. But first, let's talk some smack about the Nuggets, man.
My God.
The Clippers traded away James Harden and Ivica Zubac. We all feel like, all right, they're not going to be any good anymore. And then they steal a game from the Nuggets at Intuit Dome, right? Fresh off the All-Star break. You know, you'd think that the Nuggets would be fresh. They were not ready. And once again, it's Jamal Murray at the free throw line with a chance to tie the game. And he misses what would have been the game-tying free throw with 0.9 seconds left. The Clippers win 114. And this was just... You called it. We were watching the end of this one together, and you said, "What if he misses again?"
I gave the podcaster jinx.
That's right.
Would we call it the podcaster jinx?
Yeah.
I remember. I think like 3 weeks ago, it was me, you, and Hunter Patterson. He was in Detroit, or he was in Denver.
Yeah.
And he was basically doing the game versus Detroit. And Jamal Murray went to the line twice to try and nail that game and get the Nuggets the win. And he missed. And it was the same situation. He got fouled up 3, ended up losing. And this time, it felt like the Nuggets didn't have a chance anyways because the Clippers pulled away multiple times in clutch. Brook Lopez had this like wide open drive to the lane dunk, which
that should have probably been an and one, actually.
Yeah, sure. And then the Clippers were up 4. Murray hit a 3, got them in position to get fouled, but just missed the free throw. This is a guy who's like an 88% free throw shooter. Yeah. So just bizarre for him to have multiple opportunities like this to brick and choke a game.
We got to give credit to the wall. He was shooting those free throws into the wall. I mean,
you've experienced the wall.
A lot of pressure. Listen, it's pretty loud. I mean, even what the little fan section that they had at All-Star game, a lot of that I think is their perception because it's such a steep angle. I mean, it looks like a lot of people. It's a sea of people. So we're going to give credit to the wall, not anyone else on the free throw
I'd like
defense.
To personally, one day try to sneak into the wall with the opposing team's jersey just to see if I could pull it off.
I feel like security is going to throw you out. The Clippers, they run a tight ship around there. Kawhi had 23, continues to be pretty good, although this wasn't his best game. A little bit of a minutes limit for him, but it was a team effort for them. And we got to tip the cap to Benedict Mathurin, his Clipper home debut, puts up 38 points off the bench. That's a season high, 12 of 13 from the free throw line. And this is sort of the thing that they brought him in for. You can see where he fits. If he can be, let's say, a lower budget Norm Powell for them, this team, maybe it's not so much of a drop off losing James Harden.
I think he could hit the highs of a Norm Powell too. Norm is obviously now an all-star, and he had an all-star caliber season for the Clippers last year. But I think Mathurin has the capability of putting up nights that remind you or can at least replicate what Norm provided for this Clippers team. I mean, Mathurin was a guy who was on a finals team for the Pacers last year. He had some huge moments in the playoffs for them. So I know he can get to that level. It's just about doing it consistently. And also, like, shot selection is always going to be a thing with Mathurin. So once he was starting to feel it in this game, you could see he was forcing it a little bit too much, but they needed it. And I thought he was awesome. He got it in multiple different ways, whether it was getting to the free throw line.
And you can see where they could use that. I mean, just some of the stuff that he's going to bring over from that Indiana system, I think will help. He had a crazy finish on a layup off a really nice cut to the basket late in the game. I couldn't believe he made that shot.
Yeah. All right. Once Garland comes back, man, I don't know. The Clippers might be cooking with something, but who knows? They might.
We'll see. Brook Lopez kind of bounced back, had a big block down the stretch of this game. Look, man, we can't take the Clippers seriously after trading away 2 of the 3 best players.
Yes. Yeah.
But pretty big win for a team that's still like hanging in the play-in race. The Nuggets, though, I just feel like the Nuggets want to fast forward to the playoffs. They need Aaron Gordon back. This defense is just atrocious.
Are you not concerned at all?
I am concerned.
Okay.
I'm very concerned about the Nuggets defense. Nikola Jokic, look, he's the greatest offensive player maybe ever in NBA history. But what's happening right now on defense, it looks like he's just disinterested. Mm-hmm. I don't think he really wants to run all that hard right now. I guess I get it when you've had this much success and they've been hurt all year
and all that.
Yeah, I understand. Look, it's a long season. I can get it. But man, I've got some real concerns because come playoff time, are they going to be as sharp? They haven't had all year to kind of get their stuff together. You're hoping Aaron Gordon can come back here in the next couple of weeks and you've got time to rebuild that chemistry. Remember, Cam Johnson still hasn't really looked great when they've been at full health. Like we haven't seen what that looks like. And some of these other guys that they're missing, Peyton Watson's not been out there. Julian Strawther, I think, is a guy they need to figure out how he fits when they're at full health. He hit 6 threes last night. I mean, that's a guy that I think you're going to need. So there are questions about the Nuggets for sure.
It's hard. Like, how much do I take into consideration that this is the 24th best, or if you will, worst defense this season? Like, this is a team that's supposed to contend for a championship. It's basically unheard of for a team with that poor of a defense to win a championship. Yeah. Like there are maybe a few examples in NBA history. So how much are you going to take that for the injuries, or is it going to be, I don't know, something that they can work in as the season progresses, Right.
I mean, again, extenuating circumstances are what they are. They have not been healthy, but it raises a lot of questions. Kevin Durant, by the way, answered every question for the Rockets. Every single time every time they needed a bucket, did he not deliver? The last 10 points of the game for the Rockets scored by Kevin Durant. The Rockets, they beat our Hornets 105-101. Now I will give the Hornets, we're going to tip the cap. They're down 2 starters right now. They were hanging tough, had a chance to win the game, but look, what are you going to do, man? Kevin Durant he's automatic sometimes.
Yeah, and especially you're not going to win that many games when Brandon Miller is 5 of 22 and LaMelo Ball is 5 of 14. Like the shooting was tough here for them, and I thought they made a game of it regardless. There was a huge 3 Con Knipple hit in that fourth quarter too to help the Hornets try to get involved in this game. But to your point, man, Kevin Durant was incredible in this game. 35 points, hit this incredible clutch shot in the dying seconds of this one to really seal the game.
Yep.
Those are the type of stuff that's what they need from Kevin Durant all year.
He also, I don't think that we've talked about this at all this year, me and you. He hit 3 blocks in the first quarter of this game, had a steal. He is having a pretty impressive two-way season at 37 years old. I don't know that we've ever seen anyone defend the way that he has actually at his age, because normally by then guys stop, but he can't on this team. Like they actually need him to defend it the way he has. And I don't know if I've seen anyone bring this up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I think especially with Şengün is having a down defensive season. Like he's not having some of the same qualities we just talked about with Jokic. Very much so apply to Alperen Şengün. But that's why Kevin Durant has had to cover so much. And the wing trio, if you will, of him, Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, Tari Eason when he's on the floor, those guys have had to paper over a lot of issues, especially at the point of attack with Reed Shepherd. Yeah. And then at the back line with Şengün, they have to paper over a lot. Credit to Kevin Durant. I think he's always been an underrated defender, but just being able to, one, be this help side rim protector for them, clean up stuff when Şengün isn't there. It's a huge part of what he does. Also, he has to make and take tough shots all the time. So his responsibility is insane on these Rockets.
But they held this Hornets team to 101 points, which is that's something. Ime Udoka, he coaches up the defense extremely well. Finding out ways to guard like LaMelo Ball at the point of attack. I like how they mixed it up. Sometimes it was Amen. Sometimes it was Jabari.
You're becoming a Rockets believer.
No, definitely still don't believe in this. It's too hard for them, right?
Yeah,
every single thing is too hard for them. But with that being said, there are bright spots, and this is a dangerous team. You've got Kevin Durant, and in any playoff series, he can be the best player still somehow, which is crazy. Guys, stick around after the break. We got James Edwards here. We're going to talk about the Knicks, what's going on with Karl-Anthony Towns, and whether Cade Cunningham is the MVP. The Pistons and Knicks faced each other again, their first game back from the All-Star break. And yet again, the Pistons hand the Knicks an embarrassing loss. Here to be forced to talk about it, our guy, James Edwards. James, the Knicks kind of blew their opportunity to shake things up at the deadline. I mean, Jose Alvarado is a nice pickup, but nothing big for this team. And the same problems that we saw leading into the break, still there. Pistons just a much better team. And at this point, man, I just want to know, what do you think about where the Knicks and Pistons are at this point of the season?
So, yeah, it's tricky to navigate because when the Knicks were in the midst of that 2-9 skid, they were really struggling. I wrote a column that they need to shake things up. Like, they need some form of big trade, whether it's move on from Cat, whether that's maybe use Mikal Bridges to bring extra pieces in. That was something I really thought, like the feng shui, the furniture needed to be changed in the group, right? And then they go on the whatever game winning streak right at the deadline, and they look good. And I'm like, I have to, as a respectable and somebody who takes their job seriously, I was like, I need to write that, you know what, the front office did a good job by holding court and letting this thing ride out. And it looks like the Knicks have turned a corner. But I still said I would have made a big trade. And it doesn't mean just necessarily Giannis. I just think that this group with Cat and how they're playing, you can say it's the system, you can say it's Cat, but whatever one it is, you just cannot have Karl-Anthony Towns just not be a threat offensively. Like, why else would you get him?
Right.
And it's whether it's somebody else's fault or not. They got to figure it out. He's struggling with his three ball. He's not making threes. He's struggling
that's
around
the whole
the rim.
team, to be fair.
Yeah, tonight. But in general, this whole, you look at his numbers, I think, 33%, 34 from three. Mm-hmm. The Knicks need to find a way to utilize Towns in this system. I'm not sure if they can. We have a large enough sample size. And then for the Pistons, listen, they have Paul Reed starting, and credit to Paul Reed. I think he gets a bad rap. Like, he would be he would be the main backup on 20 teams in the NBA and start on a few probably.
Yeah.
But they didn't miss a beat. And I think that was one thing Knicks fans were able to hang their hat on. Well, they beat us. We didn't have OG and Josh and Cat in the last one. Well, this time they pretty much had everybody except McBride. The Pistons without two of their top 5 players, and the Pistons won handily. So credit to the Pistons. They're the best team in the East. People keep trying to find a reason to say they're not the best team in the East, but at this point, there's nothing to say.
They have the best record in the league right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think the Knicks specifically, I just wonder about this group and its chemistry. I just think having Cat and not being able to get the most out of him offensively is, and again, I don't want to say they're not getting the most out of him. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
He's got to be better, but just not getting the legitimate offense that you need from Karl-Anthony Towns just feels like it's destined for something not great going forward.
It also feels like you're constantly playing this uphill battle when you have to deal with both Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns on defense. Like, you're already kind of behind the 8 ball there because teams can constantly put one or both of those guys in actions. And while I love the wing trio of the Knicks, like, they can't solve all of their defensive problems, right? And OG can only do so much. Mikal can only do so much off of the ball. Teams are really smart of like finding ways to not get those guys involved in actions. And I thought Cade Cunningham did an incredible job tonight of being like, Jalen Brunson, let's have this dance. Karl-Anthony Towns, let's have this dance. How are they going to solve that problem, if they even can solve that problem heading into the postseason?
Well, I'm not sure that they can without doing something super drastic, which would be like they're not going to, and they shouldn't limit Jalen's minutes. Jalen's an incredible player and an MVP candidate and all these things, but I wonder if they had more faith in Mitch's health, would they have made a move? I mean, maybe now do you cut Karl's minutes? Do you play him more with Mitch? But then it's just, at the end of the day, the Cat's not necessarily still getting the offensive production that you want from him, no matter who he's out there with. And what are you going to do? Play him 20 minutes a game? You're not going to do that.
Right. It's hard to do that to a $50 million player. Yeah. Totally.
And that's kind of where I've been saying the long-winded version of that is like, it's not that Cat's not a good player. It's that it's very clear that the system plus where he's at right now in his career is just not working. So why try to force a round peg into a square hole, right? Like it just feels like it's not going to work. Now, things maybe change. He's hit some threes and we're looking at this later and it's goofy, but I said that 2 months ago and the shooting hasn't come back around. So when it comes to Jalen and Cat, listen, I think the defense has shown that it can play okay. Tonight, I thought Cade was giving it to everybody. That was OG, Mikal. Like it was a take your turn. And that's just Cade's a great player, right? But certainly but you see the Pistons' strengths is you put Jalen on Asar, right? Because he's the non-shooter, but Asar's much bigger. He can just get the ball in the post and go over him. It's harder to put Jalen on certain guys on this Detroit starting lineup as opposed to other teams. But I would always live with that because what Jalen provides on the other end.
James, I'm kind of curious. If you were to give this Knicks front office truth serum, would they redo the Cat Julius Randle trade?
That's tough to say because they did make the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Right. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. I think.
So did the Timberwolves on the other side, though.
That's true. So
that's a spicy question.
I would say yes. I would say yes. And I don't necessarily, I think all the things that have come with it, obviously it hasn't always looked great on the court. They were able to put it together in the postseason last year. I think this year it's very clear that like Cat's not super comfortable in Mike Brown's system. That's a great question. I think
it's a hard question too. I know I put you on the spot, so I'm sorry, but
no. I think they would because when they made the trade, I didn't think it addressed their biggest needs, which they lost basically another creator. Because Julius could do that. They lost depth with Dante. I think they've done a good job of trying to replace the depth. Obviously, Mitch has been healthy. When McBride plays, Landry Shamit's been really good for him. Like they've been able to piece it together a little bit. But they also, I think they lost a protected first in there. I think that package might have got them something else that I think would have similar results to what they've gotten so far.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think the Pistons would take Cade Cunningham first overall if they had to do it again?
Yes, they definitely would.
Not as tough of a question. Listen, man, this guy is pretty nuts right now. Had a crazy game last night. 42 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal, was 5 of 11 from 3, which of course is a weak spot for him. He turned it up, and he does turn it up against the Knicks, and especially in New York. This is kind of personal for him. They have the best record in the league right now. The Detroit Pistons do. They won this big game without Jalen Duren, their second best player. Cade Cunningham puts on this type of performance. Where's he slotting in your MVP rankings right now? Because I think that the needle is starting to move in his direction a little bit.
So I think this is how I look at it. Obviously, I think most people agree Shea and Jokic are the 2 best offensive talents in the world. Now, they're both on the fringe of missing out on postseason awards, right? Like, can Jokic only miss 1 more game, is it?
Yeah, Jokic is on that line, and I think SJ has probably 10 more games.
Something like that right now.
Yeah.
If the Pistons finish with the best record in the East, I think you have to really consider Cade as the MVP. If the Pistons finish with the best record in the NBA, I don't see how Cade's not the MVP. This is what I find so funny about the Pistons discourse. Everybody, when they're talking about them, they're trying to figure out ways to say why they're not the best team in the East or why they're not the best team in the NBA, or they should have made this move for a secondary ball handler at the deadline. Cade needs help. They're number 1 in the NBA, and according to everybody, Cade doesn't have help. So how is he not the MVP. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, so you can't.
If
you can't
we were
say
in
that,
like 2014, he would be the clear-cut MVP candidate because of that.
So everybody keeps saying Cade needs help. They need this and they need that, but they're the number one team in the NBA. So either the other guys aren't as bad as people think, and I agree that they could use a secondary ball handler, right? But they're the best team in the NBA. And his second best player is a traditional center. And his third best player might be Isaiah Stewart. And then there's Asar Thompson. Like, we're talking about guys who are hard-nosed, play your ass off, but we're not talking about like 30, 40 point per game scorers, right? Like,
Duncan Robinson is a major piece for this team. Yeah.
His second best player last year in their postseason was Malik Beasley.
Their second best scorer right now is Tobias Harris, right?
Right.
Hey, so for all the reasons we're trying to find out why the Pistons aren't the best team in the East or in the NBA, it kind of, to me, also proves Cade's point as why he's probably the MVP. It's between him, Jokic, and Shea to me. And I think what Cade's doing, if they finish with the best record in the NBA, I don't see how he doesn't get it.
Do you think, because he just recently had this quote, he thinks he's the best American in the world, basketball wise. I feel like there's Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry obviously have very, very good claims to that. Right now, it feels like Cade has a very good claim to best American in the world too.
So I have a funny story with that. When he got drafted, as you guys know, I don't know if everybody listens, I covered the Pistons for 7 years. I've been away for a year and a half, but I was there for Cade's first 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
When they drafted him, somebody in the front office told me he's going to be the first American-born MVP. That was direct words from one of the people who were involved in drafting him and drafting others and all this stuff. So, people want to say Anthony Edwards. People want to say Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum,
right?
Jalen Brunson. Cade has as strong a case as anybody, obviously, right? Like, his team is sitting at the top of the ladder, reaching for the belt.
Yeah. Okay, so come playoff time, you've seen the Pistons quite a bit. I'm gonna start picking people's brain because we're really not that far away from the playoffs. How do the Pistons lose in the playoffs? We see all the ways that they win. That defense is just it's stifling. How do they lose?
So they're still. I know Knicks fans probably don't believe this. They're not a good 3-point shooting team, except when they play the Knicks. They have a magnet ball against the Knicks. Javonte Green gets it going. It's across the board. There's a world where they go completely cold from 3 in a whole series. Like, that's a real thing. And it's like, while they're the best defense, they're going to face some pretty good defenses too. So that's it for me. Maybe you see teams just deciding to blitz Cade, which they're going to do, and they're just not able. There's just that lack of secondary playmaker. Just
Karis LeVert cannot dribble at all.
Yeah, there's not enough reads. They're not making the right reads. They're just not making good decisions attacking the rim. Like, that's a possibility too. But to me, it's like, if this team's going to defend, do they make enough threes to? Because I think if they're shooting the 3-ball well, they can blow teams out.
Yeah.
If they're not shooting the 3-ball, they're going to be in close games. It's a matter of, can they win those close games?
And you know what? To bring this back to the Knicks for a second, the Pistons do a great job of like, hey, our offense isn't going right now. We're going to drag you into the mud and force you to play this grimy style of basketball that we thrive at. The Knicks, if it's not easy, it doesn't work, right? If the offense isn't free flowing, if the shots aren't falling, it's just, where do they go from there is the big issue for this Knicks team, you know?
Yeah, and that was, I think, in the first half. Like, I didn't think the Knicks played terrible in the first half. They did miss a lot of open threes and a lot of good looks.
Yeah.
But the defense has been so up and down. And listen, Cade's a tough cover for anybody, but you spend all that capital on McHale, you spend all of the capital on OG. You shouldn't be bringing in Jeremy Sohan to try to slow him down at the end of the game, right? Like, that's something that they're going to have to figure out if these two teams meet. Like, how do we stop Cade? Because right now there's been last year they did a good job of it in the playoffs, but that was Cade's first playoff series. That was right. This Cade was really good last year. He's different this year. So the fact that they struggle so much with, and it's not just Cade, but they do struggle with bigger ball handlers like that.
Sure.
So the Knicks defense is up and down. It shouldn't be as up and down as it is. There's some really good pieces there, but there's just something about their struggles with guys of Cade's ilk that I think is really that could bite them in the end.
Yeah. Well, no matter what happens with the Knicks, we know it'll be worth reading James Edwards, because James Edwards, one of the best sports writers in America. Everybody go and read him at The Athletic. I mean, come on, James, you know.
Thank you, guys. That's very nice.
Yeah, well, we got to gas you up, keep you coming on the show. Thanks to James Edwards for hanging out. Thanks to Es Baraheni, as always. I'm Dave DuFour. This has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for hanging out with us.